Ichibe Hyosube is one of the most dark and bad characters in Bleach. As the commanding officer of the Royal Guard, he exudes both humor and an aura of authority that keeps everyone around him on edge. From his hulking appearance, complete with a bushy beard and Tengu getter, to his unmatched wisdom and terrifying powers, Ichibe is the ultimate combination of strength, strategy, and mystery. Despite his jovial demeanor, Ichibe hides a calculating mind, willing to deceive even allies if it serves the greater balance of the three worlds. His obsession with names and their significance goes beyond mere semantics. It's tied to his unparalleled ability to manipulate reality itself. By severing or rewriting the names of things, he strips away their essence or grants them entirely new attributes, making him an unpredictable force in battle. His fight with Yhwach is a prime example of his chilling resolve. Smiling through the chaos, Ichibe doesn't just fight to win. He fights to teach his enemies the weight of their transgressions. His Bankai, Shirafude Ichimonji, is the stuff of nightmares, allowing him to reduce opponents to mere ants, or worse, erase their chance of reincarnation entirely. As someone who named everything in the Soul Society, including Bankai itself, his connection to the very fabric of their world makes him both a creator and destroyer. It's no wonder Ichibe holds such a revered yet feared position among the Shinigami. Behind his booming laugh and playful antics lies the sharp mind of a man who shaped history itself, a being so tied to the essence of the Soul King that even death is just a temporary setback for him. Ichibe Hyosube is the commanding officer of the Royal Guard. Holding the title monk, who calls the real name, he is a large and broad individual with a bald head, red eyes, bushy eyebrows, and a long black beard. He wears the standard Shihakusho beneath a white, long-sleeved haori decorated with the Royal Guard's emblem. The top of his uniform is open enough to expose his hairy chest. He also wears a large set of red prayer beads around his neck and a pair of single-toothed Tengu getter. At first glance, Ichibe appears to an upbeat person who speaks in a loud and upfront manner. However, underneath his outer demeanor, he's actually a very authoritative individual who is utterly dedicated to maintaining the balance of the three worlds at any cost and has no respect for anyone who might threaten that balance. Additionally, he is very shrewd and cunning, as shown when he attempted to make a deal with Yhwach over 1,000 years ago that ultimately served to maintain the status quo. And even Shunsui Kyoraku and Mayuri Kurotsuchi have questioned his motives on occasion. He can even be downright deceitful, requesting Ichigo Kurosaki and his companions defeat Yhwach despite having no faith of them actually succeeding. In battle, Ichibe is ruthless and patronizing towards his opponents, and constantly has a smile on his face, with Yhwach noting that he seems to become much happier after he resolves to kill someone. He displays a mocking form of kindness toward his opponents, claiming to have cut Yhwach's power in half to avoid tarnishing the reputation of the Quincy by defeating him at full power, and seems to have a tendency to overkill his enemies, as shown when he used his Bankai against Yhwach after defeating him simply to show the Quincy King the gap between them in strength. Much like Genryu Soi Shigekuni Yamamoto, Ichibe seems to treat his battles as him casting judgment on his opponents, initially attempting to merely eject Yhwach from the Soul King Palace before gradually inflicting more severe punishment as the fight progressed. Due to his ability to manipulate the true names of all spiritual beings, Ichibe places great importance in the meaning of names, as demonstrated when he declares to Yhwach that those who lack a name do not stand for anything. Relatedly, this is also the reason that Ichibe becomes visibly tense whenever anyone addresses him by his given name, rather than his title, without permission. After Adnius formed the three worlds out of the primordial sea, and thus became the Soul King, Ichibe was present as Adnu's limbs were severed from his body. Ichibe was given the title monk, who calls the real name by the Soul King. He was also the first person to name everything that existed in the Soul Society, including Zanpakuto, Shikai, and Bankai. At some point in the past, Ichibe was the first Shinigami to obtain an evolved form of his Zanpakuto, which was known at the time as Shinuchi. At some point over 1,000 years ago, Ichibe personally traveled to the human world to negotiate a truce with Yhwach's Leechrites, proposing that the Leechrites would be allowed to unify the Quincy race in peace if they agreed to let the Balancers maintain the balance between worlds without interference. When Yhwach refused due to wanting to disrupt the balance so that he could create a world without death, he attacked Ichibe using the Almighty. But Ichibe revealed that he had taken the Soul King's left arm, his own, and used its powers to negate the Almighty, though it was claimed by Yhwach in the process. Ichibe then left, proclaiming that Yhwach would never again be able to use the Almighty until his death and telling him to live a modest life until then. Ichibe can manipulate the true names, the metaphysical representations of, among other things, sentient beings, which grants him power over those he targets with his power. Ichibe has the innate ability to determine the true name of all things. He came up with the names Zanpakuto and the release names Shikai and Bankai, and he was the first one to choose all the names of all things in Soul Society. Due to this unique skill, Ichibe also knows the names of every Zanpakuto from the time they are handed to a Shinigami as a Sauchi created by Oetsu. If his body is destroyed, Ichibe will remain conscious and can completely restore his body to its former state by regrowing a new body out of blackness itself. He achieves this by stealing a small amount of power from someone that says his name to initiate the process. In order to prompt this, he can mentally speak to the individuals around him and ask them to do so. However, while this process instantly restores Ichibe to life, it takes more time for him to recover his powers. Ichibe can manifest giant representations of his hands and feet in the air. These limbs copy his movements and possess greater strength in proportion to their greater size. Ichibe manifests a large hand and to push his opponent away with extreme force. According to him, it will send his opponent flying 1,000 ri away. As the commander of the Royal Guard ever since ancient times, Ichibe holds a vast knowledge and understanding of most worldly affairs, along with great strategic acumen and leadership instincts that allow him to always act with optimum judgment of a situation. Combined with his innate ability to perceive an enemy's true nature at a glance, along with his generally diverse Shinigami skill set, it is Ichibe's tremendous wisdom that makes him dangerous to confront and led to him being recognized by the Wandanriches as one of Soul Society's special war powers. Ichibe possesses incredible skill in Zanjutsu, as shown by his ability to clash evenly with Yhwach during their battle. Ichibe is highly proficient in Shunpo, appearing next to Yhwach almost immediately after propelling him 1,000 ri away with Senri Chutencho. He effortlessly sidestepped a multitude of high leg file fired by Yhwach's Sunkt Bogen. Ichibe is a master of Kido, using mid-level spells to great effect by simply stating the name without incantation, number, or type. Ichibe has used a secret Hado spell that was strong enough to shatter the dome formed by Yhwach's Bloodvein and Haben, further demonstrating his skill. As the commander of the Royal Guard, whose collective power far surpasses the combined might of the entire Gote 13, Ichibe possesses overwhelmingly vast amounts of spiritual power. His power is of such a degree that he was able to fight evenly with Yhwach, the most powerful Quincy, who possesses extremely vast amounts of Rei Ryoku himself, with both his sealed Zanpakuto and his Shikai. With his Bankai, Shirafude Ichimonji, Ichibe would have been able to permanently neutralize the Quincy King if the latter had not activated the Almighty. Ichibe has a tremendous amount of physical strength. After pushing Yhwach a large distance away from Soul King Palace with Senri Chotencho, Ichibe sent him flying the same distance back to the palace with a single slash from his brush. He crushed a reishi attack from Yhwach by merely clasping his hands around it, and reversed the absorbing effects of Yhwach's Bloodvein and Haben by flexing the muscles on the left side of his body, rupturing the blood vessels in Yhwach's face in the process. Ichibe possesses a great tolerance for pain. When Yhwach pierced him with his reishi broadsword, Ichibe stood his ground despite considerable blood loss, shrugged off the pain, and kept fighting. As one of the royal guards, he has the Oken imparted in his bones, which grants him the ability to travel in and out of the Soul King Palace as he pleases, as well as grant permission to others simply by willing it. Ichimonji means one written character. Its sealed form takes the form of a large calligraphy brush, which Ichibe uses to write calligraphic characters. Ichimonji has ink-based spiritual powers, allowing Ichibe to manifest written characters that carry the power of their meaning. Conceal hides large physical objects, such as the entirety of the Soul King Palace, from view. Seal creates a boundary that cannot be passed. Name severing when used as a weapon. This brush does not cut flesh, but instead names. For example, if Ichibe lands a blow on his opponent's arm, he can have its name to AR, and as a result, reduce the physical capabilities of that arm by half. Its release command is blacken. Upon release, the brush transforms into a form of a somewhat short glaive, with the top portion taking the form of a short, single-edged blade reminiscent of a tip of a chokudo, attached to the long brush handle. Additionally, a large halo of black ink appears in the air behind Ichibe. Shikai's special ability: whenever Ichibe swings Ichimonji, its blade releases ink. Anything that this ink covers loses its name, and thus its powers. Its power is the power of black. Every time Ichibe releases Ichimonji, all of the color black from all beings, dead or alive, becomes his power. Power absorption immunity. The power summoned by Ichimonji can be stolen, but it cannot be wielded by the assailant or used against Ichibe because he controls all of the color black in the universe. As such, it is simply restored to him, proven when Yhwach's Sanct Altar fails to work against him. Furintai Setsuryu, or Slaughter's Mausoleum of Halted Reincarnation. Ichibe brings for the massive amount of blackness from his surroundings and fills a cup with it before drinking from the cup. After chanting an incantation, Ichibe creates a large mausoleum with a fence in front on top of shattered gravestones out of the blackness. This technique takes away all of the darkness in his opponent, including their flesh, blood, and bones, until nothing is left. Their destruction is so absolute that they will not even reincarnate. Shinichi, Shirafude Ichimonji. Uniquely, Ichibe activates his Bankai by calling out Shinichi or True Blade instead of Bankai, as Ichimonji was the first Zanpakuto to take on an evolved form long before the term Bankai existed. Upon activation, the blade of Ichibe's brush turns into white bristles akin to its sealed state, but begin emitting white energy instead of black ink, with some of this energy forming a large circle around Ichibe himself. Shinichi's special ability: with Shirafude Ichimonji, Ichibe can give and change the name of targets who have been struck by the ink of Ichimonji by writing kanji on their body. Doing so gives his target the properties and powers of the name granted. For example, by changing their name to Black Ant, his opponent would be as weak and powerless as an ant. Ichibe was voted the 40th most popular Shinigami character. In the 5th character popularity poll, Ichimonji ranked 30th in the 2nd Zanpakuto poll. In the 2nd best bout poll, Ichibe's fight with Yhwach ranked 38. Club Outside Trivia. According to Q&A 117 by Tight Kubo on his fansite Club Outside, Ichibe was responsible for using his power over names to prevent the manifestation of Ichigo Kurosaki's Quincy powers from revealing his true name to Ichigo. Hence why the manifestation's words were blotted out during their first meeting. Alright, this is where we end. Stay tuned for more anime videos and please comment down your suggestions for videos to make.